So talk about what the Bureau used to be, because you argue in your book it actually used to be something that had a commitment to the Constitution and then it fell from there. Explain more how and why the Bureau slipped from a trustworthy agency to one now that has no faith, the American people has no faith in.
Okay, well, it is simply this. Uniquely in the United States of America, and it's always been a good thing, our national security agency, domestic intelligence agency, was a law enforcement agency, the FBI. The FBI always had been fundamentally a law enforcement agency. And in a law enforcement agency, the individuals, the agents, you work every day towards the day when you're going to have to stand up in court or before a judge and raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Mm-hmm. That's the essence of a law enforcement agency. An intelligence agency deals in deception, deceit, and they give estimates. They call them estimates. We would call them best guesses. It's a whole different mindset. But the Bureau was always dominated by the law enforcement mindset.
That's so interesting.
September 11th happened, and Robert Mueller, who had only been director a few days when the September 11th attack happened, was called. The attack was on Tuesday. On Saturday morning, he was called to Camp David. President George W. Bush wanted to see him. He went to Camp David with the Bureau's report. And Charlie, in 3.5 days, and this is quite an accomplishment, the FBI investigation had identified all 19 hijackers, their associates, their money trail, their autos, their credit cards, their connections back to Al-Qaeda, everything in 3.5 days. The Bureau did what it does best, investigate. And Robert Mueller presented that report to George Bush with the rest of his security council around him in Camp David that Saturday morning. And when he was done, and he expected praise and thanks. And by the way, he's told us this. He's told me this on several occasions. And George W. Bush just turned to him and said, "I don't care about that. I want to know how you're going to prevent the next one." And later that morning, George Tenet, then the director of the CIA, gave his plan of action going forward. George W. Bush, when he was done hearing that, turned to Mueller and said, "That's what I'd like to hear." Mueller was humiliated. So for reasons that seemed justified at the time, he said this, to change the FBI into an intelligence agency. Wow. And a lot of bad things flowed from that.